This week, we're talking all about the Hamilton condo market. Thank you so much for joining me again this week. It is an absolute pleasure to have you tuning in like you do hopefully each and every week. This week, we're talking all about the condo market because we are in fact in a buyer's market. But before we get into that, my name is Justin Little and I'm a local real estate agent here in Hamilton, Ontario, and I love making educational videos about the market. If you find any of this content useful, be sure to pop a like on it. That way this video will get in front of more people that can benefit from the information inside as well. If you haven't already, be sure to join the growing community and subscribe to this channel. But let's dive into it. When talking about what kind of market we are in, there is really one metric that matters, and that is the months of inventory. Now, I talk about this in previous videos. Whenever I do my monthly market update, I love using this stat because it gives us an indication whether we're in a buyer's, a seller's, or a balanced market. So when we are talking about what the months of inventory is, essentially what this statistic does is tell us how long it would take every house on the market to sell if no other listings became available. So anything that is 3 months or less is a seller's market, anything 3 to 6 months is a balanced market, and anything over 6 months is considered a buyer's market. So believe it or not, the Hamilton condo market has shifted into a buyer's market. At the end of September, we did see 6.1 months of inventory for the condo market. But let's look at how that has changed over the last 12 months and see how we got here. So looking at the numbers here, you can see that we were in fact in a balanced, or even in some cases, a seller's market up until June of this year. And then we started to trickle into a full-fledged balanced market in the 4s, and then eventually tipped our scales into a buyer's market in September. Now, what this probably coincides with is the interest rate hikes that had taken place in the summertime or just early summer, late spring, that really shot up the interest rates, cut down people's affordability, and slowed the market a little bit in general. But the Hamilton condo market seems to be getting hit a lot harder than other parts, let's say detached or semi-detached homes, or even townhouses. And I think it's just that there is a lot of inventory out there. The current total active number of listings in Hamilton is 245 active condo units for sale. Now, that is the highest amount of condos we've had on the market in the last 12 months. The inventory has slowly been building up throughout the year. Now, if we break it down by occupancy, this is where it gets really interesting. If we take a look at what is owned by owners, how many are tenanted, and how many are vacant that are currently on the market, I think it tells a story of why exactly we are in this buyer's market. Now, if we look at the owner-occupied units, 95 of the total units that are currently on the market are owner-occupied. So these are people that are selling, maybe they're upsizing, maybe they purchased something, maybe they're moving for whatever reason, and that makes up a pretty decent percentage of it. We're at the 38% mark there, or 39% if you want to round it up, but we are at that percentage point. So that is pretty low in terms of owner-occupied units that are for sale. We have tenanted ones, which is lower, 31 units, which is only 12% of the current active listings. So what this would be is probably an investor that had purchased the unit, rented it out, and then the interest rates went up. They were on a variable. Now the rent is no longer covering the condo fees, the mortgage, the property taxes. So they are choosing to sell it, which 12% is pretty low. It doesn't really hit the panic button yet for those investors, but where it's the next number that really scares me, or doesn't scare me, but it just kind of tells the story of what's going on with the condo market. And that is that almost 50% of the total active condo listings in the Hamilton market are vacant. So why are so many of them vacant? What does this mean? Either A, people purchase these pre-construction. At that time, they qualified at an interest rate, 3, 4, 5 years ago. The rate was much lower. You were getting a 2% interest rate, something like that. You were planning, you were going to lock in on. And then all of a sudden you closed on it in 2023 and realized that you are not going to be able to rent it in any way, shape, or form that's going to allow you to break even on a unit. Now, this is, I would say, almost exclusively investors. 50% of the units to be vacant, that is investors that bought on speculation. These units came to, they ended up being finished, they closed on them, and now these investors have to sell them. So we are seeing an exodus of investors. So what that means is they are flooding the condo market inventory, and there is not a lot of buyers that are picking these units up. In fact, there are various buildings that I see that come up for sale that have a lot of vacant units in them for sale, and they are new construction. People had purchased them years ago, and like I said, are now selling them off. But this is what is pushing us into a buyer's market when you have more people selling than buying. And it is interesting to note that there has only been a total of 41 unit sales in September for condos, which is the lowest amount of sales for condominiums since the month of January this year. Now, it is incredibly unheard of to have a September be on par with January sales. Typically, January is the slowest time of year. So when we are seeing low sales numbers like that and the inventory consistently building up, it has no choice but to force us into a buyer's market. But what does this mean? If you are in the market to buy a condo, now is the time to pull the trigger. It is a buyer's market. It is your market. So if you are interested in buying a condo in the Hamilton area, reach out to me to make sure that we get you in a building that is in a great location and easily rentable, something that is going to increase in value based on where it is and leverage for growth based on the city, because we have so many developments going on around here. There's so much happening in Hamilton. Location is key with these condo units. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. It's an absolute pleasure to have you watch along this week, and I look forward to talking again next week. Take care.